All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Late Night Shots podcast, episode 73 today. We have a really big special guest for you guys. We have Olympic trials champion Jesse Porter. So what's up, man?
What's up? How you doing, guys?
We're doing good. So, first off, congratulations. Huge accomplishment right there. You just won the Olympic trials. That's an opportunity people just dream of, and you're one of the few that actually accomplished it.
Yeah. It was honestly it was a great tournament. I really enjoyed the actual trip. Like I actually, wrestling aside, I think it was just a really good trip and I had a lot of other experiences, outside of wrestling that really just made the trip special. Talking to a couple other people before the trip and just random people on the plane and all those other little experiences that you have on trips that really just make it unique. But yeah, it was a good tournament too.
Yeah. I think you beat Pat Smith. It was in the finals, or one
No,
of those rounds.
yeah, Pat Smith was semis. I wrestled
Yeah.
Peyton Walsh in the finals.
Pat Smith was the returning world team member, though, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it just kind of played out the bracket a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're in what was considered before Kamal Bay's weight class until all this stuff happened with drug tests and everything. So, like, after that happened, what was your real lookout coming into the trials? Did you feel like relieved, or did not impact you, or did you just feel like this was an opportunity in the making?
Yeah. So for me, I never really look at who's, I don't really care if they one guy doesn't show up or another guy doesn't show up. I'm not gonna like, whether he was there or not, it didn't really matter too much to me. I prepared for whoever's in the bracket. Whoever's in the bracket, that's what I prepared for, and he wasn't there, so um, it is what it is. But I prepared for everybody that was in the bracket, and I made a game plan for everyone, and then um, I executed it, and it worked. So and that's pretty much it. Very simple. I think looking forward, I do the same thing. When I go over to qualifiers, I know who's in my bracket. I make a game plan for each one and execute it.
Yeah, that's huge. I think one thing I really want to talk about is Greco wrestling is getting a lot more popular now. It was really big back a while back, like mainly because you had Karelin there, he was the face of Greco-Roman wrestling for what, like 15, 16 years. Every time like he won
Yeah.
the Olympics, even into that, now you have Lopez, but with all the talent coming into freestyle, he's not really looked at that much, even though he's a three-time Olympic champion now. But Kale Sonnen just did something about why Greco wrestling is getting more popular, why more people should participate in Greco. So, what are your views on Greco getting more eyes on it?
Yeah. I think it's great that Chael Sonnen's getting into this. I think that it's a movement. I really think it's a movement. I think that in the next coming years we're going to see a lot of changes in Greco, especially. I think that a lot of Greco-Roman wrestlers are hungry and ready for some change. Ready for some change within the style and ready to actually show the world like how much value they can bring to the sport and not only to the sport, but to the world, and society in general, showing, Greco-Roman wrestlers are, make some of the best fighters in the UFC. They make some of the best wrestlers in general, make some of the best leaders, some of the best CEOs, some of the best businessmen. So I think that there's a lot of value that come from wrestlers. And I think a lot of people, think the same way as me, within the wrestling community. So I'm excited for that. And also there's a lot of other developments that are happening. Women's Greco is like the next evolution for the sport. And I've been a really big advocate of that. And both of my sisters wrestle, and so if women's Greco happens, obviously they're going to be looking to go into that. And then, like I said, next evolution. So I'm really excited to actually get that going because I really think that that's going to help the sport, not only help Greco but help the sport in its entirety.
Yeah, no, that's huge. We've put together, I think, one of the greatest women's teams I've ever seen. Like Tamara may just be the most dominant wrestler in the United States right now. You have Adeline, a five-time world champ, and you have Helen Rose, returning Olympic champ. That's probably one of the strongest lineups you could generate right there. So, women's Greco would be huge. I think that just creates a lot more opportunities for girls trying to get into the sport. and
Mhm.
I think a lot of them are shied away because I've been around people who just really aren't advocates for wrestling, and a lot of girls just end up quitting because they don't really get a fair chance coming into high school. Yeah, but I had like one real question, right? So we all know Lopez going for his fourth Olympic title. I know we touched on this a little bit when you came to my Instagram live. If he gets that fourth title, he's the first male wrestler to accomplish that. In your book, does he surpass Karelin if he wins that fourth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that you could look at
Mhm.
for that. Seeing who pound for pound like is the most dominant wrestler, who's the best wrestler. I think that Karelin, in his own respect, he had a very unique uh, way to victory because like he found something that no one else was doing in his way and he capitalized off of it. I think Lopez in some ways has done the same thing, but I also think that he's more kind of an all around
Yeah.
better wrestler, and so you could look at that as being one of the determining factors of saying, I think pound for pound this guy is, just a better wrestler than Karelin was, and I think that would make sense because as time goes along, that's kind of what happens. Better and better wrestlers are
Mhm.
created. So so yeah, I could totally see that. Where he wins his fourth title and he could be considered just an all around better wrestler within the weight. But you also have to consider that the times are different, right? The times are different, resources are different, right? And so that definitely was a contributing factor to his success.
Yeah, I think on my page, a bunch of people I posted a video of Bruce Baumgartner, right, regarded as I think the second best American wrestler behind John Smith, two-time Olympic gold, one bronze, one silver, right? And then he's not too flashy of a wrestler like Gable is, but you didn't have to be back then, right? He
Right.
won matches and he did them dominate. He was just a guy shoots, he reshot, and he finished pretty much every one of his shots. And then I see like an influx of comments saying like, "Oh, imagine if Gable wrestled back then, rest then." People don't realize that Gable's background was getting brought up with that style because of a new age style. Because he's probably one of the youngest guys. He is the youngest guy I think on this team right now, and he wouldn't wrestle exactly the same way if he were to do that.
Mm.
And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, just so next step for you, you are one of the three wrestlers who has not qualified the Olympic weight yet. So you have just an extra step to go. You're gonna be headed to Bulgaria, I think next month it is, to qualify a spot. So what are your plans for that?
Yeah. So obviously, for this month and focusing real hard on my training here, and every day I'm working on my game plan, just like I did before this trials. The same thing. We're working on my game plan for each wrestler, and then execute when I get there. I think that um, my training is very simple. I didn't have, you probably heard this before, but I didn't actually have any partners
Yep.
before my last tournament. And all I had really was a dummy and ropes and a bike
Mm-hmm.
downstairs because of COVID. And I was very resourceful with what I was doing. And I think that the fact that I was actually able to kind of, I had a little bit more flexibility right here because I could kind of mold my training the way I wanted it. I think that really actually contributed to my success. And I know that what the system that I created um, actually worked, right? It
Mm-hmm.
worked because I was very, very hyper focused on my craft, making sure that I was working on my craft every single day and getting, my technique better and working on the things that actually gave me the most yield, right, within my training. So I think, carrying that forward, that's what I'm going to be doing before this next tournament. The same things, working on my craft, making sure that I work on my technique and my game plan and fixing my holes from the last tournament because there were definitely a lot of mistakes. And so I'm actually really lucky to have this tournament because what guys do, especially in my weight, what guys do is they will find your weaknesses and they will exploit them every single time. So even if you can't find your weaknesses after that tournament, you'll know what they are.
Yeah.
So
I think that was, what you just said was something I think a lot of young wrestlers can really, use to their advantage. You just said you didn't have a training partner, right? You were
Mhm.
limited to a dummy, and like, you had some mats. I've been your Instagram lives before. I've seen your practices. They're pretty simple. They're nothing crazy, and that just shows that if you really want something, you're gonna go get it. Guys of your caliber, 99% of guys will not be able to get by on the training with just a dummy and all that without a practice partner. And that's pretty insane to see. Like, now you're an Olympic trials champion. In a couple months prior, you didn't even have a practice partner. You were literally throwing around, how much does a dummy weigh? I think like 80 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, like 80 something. Yeah, 88.
That just seems incredible to me. Like, how you got by on that. I think, next step for you, you said you're looking for that, right? What you said about perfecting your craft, and guys will exploit you, and you see that more or not in Greco. I think than in freestyle. A lot of freestyle guys they say always stick to our own game plan, do this. I watch a good amount of Greco interviews. They're all like, okay, I need to find out what his weaknesses are. I need to find out what my strengths are, right? It's always play to your strengths, cover up your weaknesses. And I think you know that's what you need, right, to qualify the weight for the Olympics, because after that 90% of the pressure's off.
Yep. Yeah. And like that's what I said. Yeah. It's all technical. It's all about creating a game plan and executing it. That's really what it's about. It's just creating that game plan and sticking to it, listening to your coaches, believing in your preparation, believing in, everything, all the work that you put in,
Mm-hmm.
pretty simple there. Right.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about too is, we were briefly talking about growing Greco, growing wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and how there's a new development there, how we're getting more popular. I think another thing that's really going to be important in these next couple of years is kind of trying to make NFTs an actual reality for wrestling. This is a development that I've been working on, and a couple other wrestlers have too. But ooh, I just want
Yeah,
to make sure that okay,
you're good.
yeah. But NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are
Mm-hmm.
basically a way to actually um, take your videos, right, or take digital art and make it scarce, right?
Yeah.
So you can make it so that nobody can copy it or replicate it. And
Mm-hmm.
that way it can actually hold value. And that's something that can be used within the wrestling community because we can take, videos of our moves or videos of, pretty much anything, right? And make them into an NFT, and then they can hold value. And that this could be another way for wrestlers to profit off of their skills and their talents, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that it's really important to mention that there's these new technologies coming out, and there's some possibilities to really make wrestling profitable in the future. And I think it's important to recognize that and to continue to talk about it and create discussion about it.
Yeah. Because like, right, if Rulon Gardner comes out with one, like right
Mm-hmm.
after he beat Carell and makes them 1 out of 10, those would
Mm-hmm.
sell. Like, I don't even know how much. Like, it obviously comes towards like NFTs, like the way you're mentioning them, right? They basically use as sports trading cards essentially, right? And we've
Yeah.
seen a shift towards everything going towards electronics, right? These sports cars that were sold, like, unless you're getting these like Michael Jordan limited edition stuff back then, right? All the new stuff, we've seen it like it's all going online, right? And NFTs may just be the next new move, right? So,
Yeah.
no, I do think it's huge, right? But I think for it to be huge, you would have to get everybody in on it, and that's what you're working on, right? And you're doing an insanely good job at that right now. So, do you see yourself reaching out to, a bunch of bigger wrestlers? Because I think if you were to reach out to guys like, Jordan Burroughs, Kyle Dake, Kyle Snyder, even Gable Steveson, who probably has one of the bigger social media presences and more eyes on him right now, do you think that would help grow this a lot quicker?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I think all wrestlers should really be looking towards this and trying to basically clear the legal environment, because really one of the issues right now is the legal environment of and all the implications with where you're getting your video from, and what the ownership is,
Mhm.
So there's definitely some gray area there. So a lot of wrestlers, we have to kind of clear the path. Basically,
Yeah.
we have to clear the path so that all of us can actually move on this. And I think that basically making it a community effort, to kind of make this happen would be a great idea. Because I think really what it is here is once one wrestler does it right, I think that's basically it. The gate's open.
Yeah. You see a lot of Jordan Burroughs, right? Even though he lost, he's still the face of USA Wrestling, and he has been for the past 10 years, right? If you see him get on board with something, chances are guys like David Taylor, Kyle Dake, Snyder, Gable, Gilman are all going to follow in that direction, and JO. And if you get those guys on it, you've essentially already gotten 90% the way done, right?
Hmm.
So, I wanted to talk to you about this, for last chance qualifier. You need to place top two. That's just making the finals, right? Once that's done, if you punch your ticket to the Olympics, what's your main outlook there? What is your preparation going to be looking like? And what are you just feeling about that in general?
Yeah. So it's really the same process replicated, right? I mean, like a lot of people, they think, oh, there's probably some complicated things that you do for training and and everything, and it's like not really. It's very simple. You make a game plan and then you stick to it. That's really what you do, and you do that over and over again, right? Every tournament is a tournament. I don't look at the Olympics as the Olympics. I look at it as another tournament that you go to, another tournament that you go to, and more opponents that you have to wrestle, right? So basically, I take whatever I did before the trials and I replicate it. I do it again, carry over and adapt the mistakes that I made from the last tournament, carry them over to this next game plan, right? And then the same thing I'll do, after I win this qualifier, take the mistakes I took from this tournament, implement them into the next game plan. Starting to work on those, right? And then I also have a game plan from there. And then we go to the Olympics. You just do the whole thing over again, right? So that's basically what I look to do there. Somebody gave me a call. I'll call them back after, but yeah. Well, I have to go. I have to go soon. But like, I wanted to just finish that thought. That's really what it takes. That's really where my route will be. Right. I take the game plan and I just adapt it to whatever mistakes I made in that tournament. So
Yeah. Wait, how much longer do you have before you have to go?
like 10 minutes or so.
All right. Okay. We'll just get through this quick. You're good. The Olympics is the biggest stage you can wrestle on, right? It's the epitome of the sport. You've seen the highs and lows of it. You've seen 2012, Jordan Burroughs wins the gold medal. 2016, we know what happened. He bombed out, essentially, and he didn't get a medal. This can make or break your legacy, right? How would you deal with the nerves of wrestling on this, essentially the biggest stage? Once you wrestle there, it doesn't get any bigger than that. What do you like your nerves feel like, essentially?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because when I was young too, I always thought about this. Like, when I make the Olympics, how the hell am I gonna deal with the nerves and then like that? That's just like this is like so nerve wracking to be on that level. I definitely had those thoughts when I was younger too. It's just like after 2020, I can tell you, man, like that just totally flipped. Like I don't care about any of that right now. Like it's I have a totally different outlook after this year. And I've talked about this on other interviews because basically the year 2020 kind of put me through the gauntlet, just like everybody, and out of that year, I kind of emerged with this stronger purpose, right? This stronger purpose that I now hold, and I call it my why, right? And this is what I talk a lot about when, I mentor kids. It's just like, you need to make sure that your why is rock solid. Like their why is your foundation to your confidence, is your foundation to your actions. Everything you do should stem from your why, right? And from the strong why that I have, it basically makes everything easier. There are no nerves for me because I know why I'm there. I know why I'm there. I know what I'm there to do. I'm there for a very, very specific reason, right? And that's all I'm focused on. I'm there to win, and I'm there to win fantastically. And then I'm going to take the videos and I'm going to put them on TikTok and make money off of them. Like I'm thinking about all the different things that I can do
Yeah.
from these, right? And how to monetize them, how to grow my brand, right? And I see numbers, and like I said, I'm there for a very specific reason, and I planned the whole thing out. I'm prepared. Like
Mm-hmm.
with this last tournament, right? I came with the shirt that said Greco was boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made that out. I was prepared. I knew I was going to win, right? I knew I was going to win. I knew I was going to be, on podcasts and on all this other stuff, and I had a message, right? So I was like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to say because I have stuff to say now. But anyways, all that stuff comes from just having a strong why, knowing why you're there, knowing what your purpose is, and that's really all there is to it. You got to know your why. So
Yeah, no, I don't even know how to react to that. But yeah, no, the videos too. Like, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. That's just been said for a while now. Yeah. So the outlook for 2021 Greco team, I think this is probably one of the better ones we've ever put together. I'm pretty sure 130 has probably been the strongest weight class in Greco for a while. For America and internationally, right? So, who are some guys you think that maybe not necessarily looked at now in that way, but you think can take a spot on the podium and possibly, make it come true and get gold?
Yeah. You're talking about the Greco team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have a good chance. Obviously, Hancock has a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think he definitely has a good shot to take a medal. Let's decline that. I think that Kuhn really has a good chance too. He qualified, but I think he has a great chance to qualify the way. Once he qualifies it, he makes his game plan, sticks to it. I think he has a good shot at medaling too.
Yeah.
As far as the lightweights go, I know Sancho is really fired up about this. He really is. He was one of my training partners back in Northern, so I know him. I know his work ethic. I know how he trains and everything, and so I think that guy, he really has some fire, and I really think that shouldn't be underestimated. So I really think that he could have a good shot too, as long as he maintains that going through. Let's take a look at the red. I don't know who else. It was there's the smaller guy, I forget his name, and then there's a couple other guys in the middle.
I think Stefanowicz.
Stefanowicz, yeah, Stefanowicz is pretty solid too. I think that he could have a shot if he really focuses on his technique. I think that his technique would need some focus, right? But if he really focuses on his technique and kind of improves a little bit in between here and there, I think he'll be in good shape too. Who else? And there's somebody. I'm forgetting somebody. Trying to think. Maybe that was all of them. I think that was most of it.
I think there's one smaller guy, but he was like a huge upset, right? Yeah, but either way, yeah. So one thing I really want to talk about is in the Greco community, you had Joe Rao just announced his retirement. He's kind of, I don't know if he was the face of Greco, but he had more of a social media influence than I think any other Greco also did. The whole Chow with Rao series. And then you had Ellis Coleman retire also. Pretty much the guy who popularized the flying squirrel, I think, after he hit in a tournament like a while back, and it went viral. So, these are prominent figures in the Greco community. So what do you think them retiring, what do you think's next for them, and how do you think that really impacted everything?
Yeah, I think, well, I was just talking to somebody else before, like the door really opens for monetizing wrestling after you retire, actually, because there's a lot of roadblocks and concerns of risking your career when you're, actually trying to monetize wrestling. Apparently that's kind of how it works, right? So I think that, a lot of them will be trying to be a lot more active in that space, right? And I know with Greco wrestlers and with wrestling in general, like we're a very tight-knit community. We're always trying to help each other. We're always trying to, we want to see each other succeed, right? and we're kind of like we're in this unique, and I said this on my other interviews too, we're in this unique position because we all do this thing that's really, 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 really difficult, right? And we all don't get paid that much to do it, comparably. And it's like, it's a very, very specific situation because there's not a lot of communities like that out there, like it's a very, very specific, wrestling is one of the hardest sports in the world, maybe even the hardest, arguably, right? But like, we just don't get paid for what we do. Not like we get astronomically less attention too, compared to other sports, right? So like I said, we're in this unique position. I think that collectively we all feel that together, right? And I think it actually brings us closer. It makes us an even stronger community. So I think we're even stronger because of that. And I think that they'll never actually want to leave the community. They all just want to help the community. Like even Joe, like as soon as he retired, right, he's already talking about trying to get some scholarship to help other people go overseas, right? He immediately is like, okay, I got to help these guys, right? Immediately he went right to that. And I expect no less from every other wrestler that is retired. So, I am excited to see what they can do, within the wrestling community, because I know all of them are looking to get back. So.
Yeah. 100%. That was just a great statement. It just kind of shows like Greco's probably the closest knit of the three communities. I think a lot of people don't appreciate Greco enough, but the fact that you guys are starting to establish yourself more and more, I think once women's Greco becomes a thing, inevitably this Greco-Roman wrestling is going to get more eyes on it, which I think is great. Like if people appreciate all three styles or all four styles, if it gets implemented, that's going to be way better for the sport. I think if, more international people would start putting more eyes on this, because, Greco's a lot bigger around the world than it is here, right? So,
That's the point. I mean, like a lot of people don't understand that. Like Greco is probably the number one style around the world. It's just not popular here. And so there is a lot of potential for growth there, as, we have a lot of fans overseas that are big fans of Greco. It's just not popular over here. And, it goes without saying that, if wrestling wants to be, valued by society, basically, right? If we want to be valued by society, then we have to value our own, right? Which is Greco, right? We have to value our own, because how are we going to expect other people to value wrestling if we don't actually value our own, So I think that's a big part of, that evolution to getting wrestling as a whole valuable. So.
Yeah. 100%. So, I think it's been a great interview so far. I think you said you had to go like right now. So, thank you for coming on. It was huge. I was excited to have you on here. I've been wanting to have you on for a while. So, thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 73 of Late Night Shots with Olympic Trials champion Jesse Porter. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys again next time.